Everyone. It's good to see every one of you here, and we hope that a few other people or some other people will join us as we go on. All right, let's pray. Father, in the name of Jesus, we thank you for today. We thank you for a time like this, a time where you've chosen to touch and impact people's lives, a time where you've chosen to reveal secrets that can change and transform our lives. Holy Spirit, we pray tonight that by your grace, Lord, you release the truths into our lives that would change our stories, that would change our destinies, that will set us on the trajectory to the fulfillment of purpose and destiny today in the name of Jesus. Father, I pray that you give everyone that is here the listening ear. I pray that you touch every heart that is here tonight in the name of Jesus. That, Lord, you would open the hearts of everyone that has come here tonight to receive from you to the glory of your holy name. Let today, Father, let it be a pivotal day, a day that is an encounter with destiny, that 10, 20, 30 years from now, we can look back and say, that day the Lord deposited that which put me where I am today. So shall it be today in the name of Jesus. Thank you, Father. In Jesus' precious name, we have prayed. Amen. So it's good to see every one of you. Good to see everyone, to meet everyone. The Lord will bless you richly today in Jesus' name. So without taking too much time, I'm just going to shoot straight into this. There's quite a bit to cover, but I'll just quickly, maybe just to give some ground rules. So if as the, should I say, the teaching or mentoring session goes on, there's going to be 3 of them. This will be the first. The next one will be in a fortnight. If you have any question that just comes up on your mind, please just use the at the bottom of your screen. You'd see where it's reaction. At the bottom of your Zoom screen, you see reactions, and then you can see the raise hand button. Just tap that, raise your hand, and then I can call you and you can ask your questions, or you can also type your question and send it to me in the chat straight away. I will also be monitoring the chat as we go on. So if you have anything you want to say, please just use those two, either of those 2 methods, so that we can just keep it together. Okay, so today we want to talk about journey to kingdom wealth, the journey to kingdom wealth. And this first part would be focused on identifying your seed. Identifying your seed. But this identification of your seed is a subset, a small part in what I term your journey to kingdom wealth. Now, there are several, or there are different ways that people attain onto wealth. And there are even definitions, what people think that wealth is. But there is a God-prescribed way, a methodology that God uses, or that he has prescribed from the beginning of time, on how to grow kingdom wealth. And that's what I'm about to share with you. This is an embedded secret that works every single time that you apply it. I'm a product of it, and I'm still a product in making, because this is not where I'm going. So watch this space. I'll quickly just give you a bit of background about myself as we journey on this. So my name is Larry Abiodun, as you know. I'm a pastor. I'm also a researcher. I'm also a hydrologist. I'm an eco-hydrologist by training. I've done some degree work in law. I've also done some work in water resources management. I also am a chemical engineer, amongst a few other things. Now, all these things that you're looking at started on a journey of me trying to discover who I am and how to attain kingdom wealth. Now, in this God's prescribed way of attaining onto kingdom wealth, I think the first thing that is important is for us to kind of understand what kingdom wealth means so that we don't mix it up. Okay? What is kingdom wealth? What does it mean if you're talking about attaining kingdom wealth? In a nutshell, I wrote this down and I just want to read it for you. I'll read it to you this way. When you're talking about kingdom wealth, it deals with the expansion of God's kingdom. You can't talk about kingdom wealth if you're not talking about expanding God's kingdom. So kingdom wealth deals with the expansion of God's kingdom through profound success of kingdom citizens. I'm going to come again. Kingdom wealth deals with the expansion of God's kingdom, deals with the expansion of God's kingdom here on earth through the profound success of kingdom citizens. Who are the kingdom citizens? You and I. Through the profound success of kingdom citizens in every sphere of life. You see, when you talk of kingdom wealth, you will be talking about how to expand God's kingdom on earth, which would happen through profound success of kingdom citizens, you and I, in every sphere of our lives, leading to nation transformation. So ultimately, if you say that you've attained kingdom wealth, right, and this doesn't transform to success in every area of your life and ultimately impacts the nation and people around you, you're not yet there. You're still on a journey. But there is that place where you attain onto when they call you, when they say this man is kingdom wealthy, where you've become successful and your impact is growing the kingdom of God and is affecting the nations. Now you've attained onto what I call dominion in the growth of kingdom wealth. Okay, so this is God's design for you and for me, including every one of us that we talk about. We want to become entrepreneurs, business successes here, there, and every other thing like that. In all those things that we talk about, it is included, it is wired in it. God wants you to be very successful and to become kingdom wealthy. God orchestrates all this that I have spoken about. Just please pay attention today. I'm about to show you something that will change your life because it changed my life and continues to change my life. Please pay attention today. God orchestrates everything I have spoken about so far, that attaining kingdom wealth. He orchestrates it through one streamlined methodology. He orchestrates it through one streamlined methodology called the blessings of God. God orchestrates it through one streamlined methodology that is called the blessings of God. Now, what do I mean by the blessings of God? Remember, we're talking about the journey to kingdom wealth, and today we're talking about identifying your seed. But the journey must all start from where I'm coming from. What does it mean when I talk about the blessing of God? This is the methodology that God has prescribed for every single person that wants to attain kingdom wealth. It's a methodology that comes through his blessings. What do I mean by the blessing of God? Listen to my definition, and I'll show you through the scripture. The blessing of God is God bestowing certain powers. Listen, bestowing certain powers, privileges, and favor upon some form of his creation. Don't worry, I choose my words very carefully. Blessing of God is God bestowing certain powers, privileges, and favors upon some form of his creation to enable that creature or that creation to do something, to enable that creation to do something that God commissioned it to do. I'll come again. Blessing of God is God bestowing certain powers, privileges, and favor upon some form of his creation to enable it to do something that he, God, commissioned that creation to do. What do I mean by this? Let me explain it. When God creates, right, God has a purpose in his mind for every single thing he creates. Everything. There's nothing that God creates that does not have a purpose, a clear thing in God's mind, including bacteria, unicellular organisms, everything you see. God has wired a purpose for every single one of them. Now, if you remember Genesis chapter 1, verse 22. Genesis 1:22. This background I'm laying is very important for you to achieve or to attain that kingdom wealth. This is the journey to kingdom wealth. Part 1, identifying your seed. But all this background is necessary. We've just talked about blessing. For those that are joining us, we just defined blessings, but I'll just keep going. If you missed the beginning part, this is being recorded, so you'll be able to watch this. You can go back and watch it. I'll send the link out after this series. Okay. Genesis 1:22. Let me read it to you. It says, it says, and God blessed them. Now, talking about the birds of the air and the fish of the sea. Let me see, Genesis chapter 1, verse 22. Now, listen to this. It says, and God blessed them. And God blessed them, saying, it's important for you to see that the blessing comes with a series of pronouncements. Remember, I told you that God's blessing is God releasing certain powers, privileges, and favor upon some form of his own creation. Why? To enable that creation to do what he has commissioned it to do. So in this place, God is talking to the birds of the air and the fish of the sea. It says, and God blessed them, saying, this is the blessing, be fruitful and multiply, and fill the waters in the sea, and let the fowl multiply in the earth. Stay with me. So what you see that is happening here is that God blessed the fish and the birds of the air. Why? What did he do that for? He released a certain power, ability for these creatures, these entities, to do something that he created them or commissioned them to do. So the fish suddenly everything around it, including the water, has to support that fish to produce, to be fruitful and multiply. Why? Because God has released the privilege, power, and favor upon the fish to do so. He released the same thing upon the birds of the air. Okay, so the sun, everything has to support the birds to be fruitful and multiply. Stay with me. This is God's method to attain kingdom wealth. Just don't miss this. It has changed my life. It continues to change my life. It will change your life today in Jesus' name. Okay, so God said this to them. But if you notice something about what God said here, he did not give the fish or the birds of the air the ability to subdue the earth. Neither did he give them the ability to have dominion. So if you scroll down to verse 28, God blessed man. Remember, we just looked at God's blessings upon the fish and the birds, right? Now let's see what God said when he blessed man. And God blessed them. The same thing again, you see, but this is man. And God blessed them. And God said unto them, be fruitful and multiply. Remember, that's where it stopped with the fish. But he said, and multiply, and replenish the earth, and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over every living thing that moveth upon the earth. Now, you will notice something different about man. God gave man a 5-step process. You see, this 5-step or these 5 stages, they are a sequential step, sequential 5 stages, right? That if you break them, you will never attain unto dominion. Dominion is that place of kingdom wealth. Dominion is that place of kingdom wealth where you're impacting the nation, where you've become successful, where you've become a profound success in life, that your impact is reaching and transforming the nations. That's the place of kingdom wealth, dominion. Stay with me. So God said to man, he said, man, be fruitful, multiply. After you bear fruit, when you bear fruit, the next thing is you multiply the fruit. It says after you've multiplied that fruit, the next thing is that you don't get greedy, you give back. You've taken resources from the earth. You've used it to become fruitful. You've used it to multiply, to become big. It says the next stage is for you to give back to the earth, replenish the earth. You don't consume the earth to destruction. Once you've taken from it, you've now expanded, you give back to it. After you give back, it's only then that the earth will recognize your authority to subdue it before you can attain unto dominion. 5 stages. The reason why the fish will never, till thy kingdom come, the reason why the fish and the birds of the air will never be the ones that are ruling the earth and controlling the economy and the galaxy and the planet Earth is because God did not bless them with the ability to go beyond multiplication. He did not release that power, that authority to them. All right? So they will never attain unto having dominion. Unfortunately, for many people, regardless of the power and this authority that God has bestowed upon us, we don't realize these 5 steps that God has given. Now, it's important to know that after man fell, God did not withdraw the blessing. Man fell to sin, but God did not withdraw this blessing. So this blessing still works today. And guess what? This principle that I'm sharing with you, the big corporations, the Googles, the Microsofts today, they use these 5 steps. And you know why it will work for them? Because God blessed man, not just the born-again man. As long as the entity falls under the naming convention of man, he was born of a woman, then this blessing falls upon the person. So even a sinner, to a degree, these principles will still work for them because this blessing came upon the entity called man. There are several other things, several other privileges that you and I have as Christians that takes us even higher, and we can attain a lot more. But that answers your question when some people wonder and say, how come unbelievers are more successful in the world than Christians? This is the reason. God blessed them. They still carry that blessing. If they follow these 5 steps, these 5 principles, and obey the principles of it, they can attain unto dominion. If they still follow those principles, because it was man that God blessed. If they still signing under the name man, then this blessing can still work for them. Stay with me. Now, the first thing, my first assignment today, and God helping us, by the time we get to the second session and the third session, we'll go into a bit more practical things related to business and so on. But in this session, my first assignment in this moment is to convince you, not just to convince you, to let you see that you were designed for dominion. I'm not sweet talking you. I'm just trying to let you understand that by your wiring, by your equipping, God has released certain things in you by these words, saying, God blessed them, saying, be fruitful, multiply, replenish the earth, subdue it, and have dominion. That is still over your life today as we speak. So my first assignment is I want you to say to yourself in this moment, please, if you can unmute your mic and just say, I have been commissioned to have dominion. I want to hear
commissioned to have dominion.
If you're there to let me know that you're still with me, that we're still together, I want you to unmute your mic and say, I have been commissioned by God to have dominion. If you're there, please. Yes, please. I have been commissioned by God to have dominion. You need to repeat it.
I want by God to have dominion.
Yes, you need to know it. You need to believe it. You need to understand it, that this is the reality. Let me tell you why I'm telling you to say this. The Bible says, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. If you don't know that you were wired by God to have dominion, then you cannot attain dominion. I'm telling you the truth. Nobody attains dominion randomly. I mean, if you can't unmute your mic, please type it. Say, I have been commissioned to have dominion. It is important that you get this one wired into your head, into your heart. The Bible says, as a man thinketh in his heart, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. If you do not know as of today that you've been commissioned by God, wired to have dominion, then the rest of this session and the next session is just not going to do a whole lot of good. I'm telling you the truth, because this is the foundation. Do you know God has released this onto you? This is what you are. I can see it looks like a few people are not here, but that's okay. Let's keep going. If you are here, let me tell you the truth. If it's just one person, that understands this, and you sync it and you operate it, that one person is more than enough in some instances to transform a nation. Just one person realizing this can change a nation, and it can just be you. I am on my journey to that place, and I will get there in Jesus' name. And I trust that you will get there too in Jesus' name. Okay, now, the next thing, once you've understood this, that you are wired, you are commissioned by God to have dominion. And you know the interesting thing about this commissioning to attain to dominion, because God said it, the sun, the moon, the stars, the earth, the air needs to support you. They know that God has said it. And once God says something, the whole creation aligns to it. Why? Because when he speaks, he says, my word that has come out of me in righteousness cannot return to me without accomplishing that which I sent it. Why am I saying that? According to the scripture. So when God says he blessed them, saying every creature, everything says, God has told man to have dominion. So we need to support him. But if man does not know that he was wired to have dominion, then it's not the fault of anybody that doesn't support him, because he didn't show up. Now, good. The next question, or the next line of understanding, is this. So today we will probably start at, maybe we'll just be able to cover the beginning today, which is be fruitful. Because I'm going to go through each of these stages with you over the next 3 sessions and show you, if you follow it, I tell you, you will attain dominion. This is not a gamble. It's wired by God. It's a sure step if you follow it. And by the way, this is not a quick fix. Dr. Larry, which business should I start? I'm trying to think of selling shoes, or I want to start manufacturing shirts. Which one will you sell more? That's not what this is about. This is about sequential steps that God has wired. If you just follow them, it will lead you to the place where you could never imagine that you could get to. If you follow it, you'll get there. Now, so today we're going to first start at be fruitful. Let's start there. The first question is, how do you ask someone or ask something to bear fruit? Where does fruit come from? Is there anybody here that can tell me, where does fruit come from? You can type it if you don't want to unmute your mic. Where does fruit come from? Sorry, can I hear somebody?
It comes from the seed.
It comes from the seed. God bless you, faithful. God bless you. It comes from the seed. It comes from the seed. So when God tells you, be fruitful, guess what it tells you? It tells you that God has put a seed inside you. When God looks at, God is not a wicked king that tells you to produce something from nothing. No. If God tells you, be fruitful, it means that there is a seed in you. And you know what that means? That means inside every single man, there are seeds. Inside every single creature that God said to be fruitful, there is a seed. Now, doggedly, with conviction, exploring and pursuing the potential of the seed inside you, or the different seeds that are inside you, will ultimately lead you to kingdom wealth. That is God's prescribed methodology for you to attain kingdom wealth. Hallelujah. That is God's designed method for you to attain kingdom wealth. That seed, or those seeds that he has put inside you. Why? Because that's where you will bear fruit from. And it is that fruit that you will multiply. It is from that multiplication that you will replenish the earth back. And it's from there that will lead you to subduing it and ultimately having dominion. These principles, I don't have the time to break it down, but every big corporation that you see today, these are the steps to follow without fail. These 5 steps that God has given, they must follow. If you don't follow it, you break the chain. You cannot go to the next stage. So it all starts with the seed in you. Every man has a seed in them. You have a seed in you. I want you to say, I have a seed. I want you to look at yourself and say, I've been commissioned to attain dominion. There are seeds in me, seeds of greatness, seeds of dominion. They are inside me. You have to be convinced of it today. You have to know it. I'm not trying to preach you happy here. I'm not trying to preach you happy. I'm trying to tell you the truth. If you don't know this, then you can't get to dominion. This is God's design. This is the method that he prescribed for you to get there. And I found it. And it's working for me. It will work for you as well. Okay, inside every one of us, let me tell you, that is the reason why, because I'm also a scientist. Maybe I should tell you this. I'm also a scientist, and I did genetic engineering, another part of my study. You see, brilliance is woven inside our DNA. There's some people that are more athletic than others. And I'm sure maybe you know this, or maybe you don't know it, but let me just share a bit of the science with you. In the past, when I say past, in the early 80s, late 70s, early 80s to early 90s, scientists found out that 3% of our DNA, of every human being's DNA, we call it code, we call it coding. There are 4 proteins. I think it's guanine, acetylene, cytosine, and I can't remember the last one. There are 4 proteins that form the DNA helix. Just stay with me, listen to this. This is important. So every man's DNA is unique. Your DNA is different from my DNA. No 2 people have the same DNA, right? I'm sure you've heard of DNA before. when they talk about DNA test, deoxyribonucleic acid, it's what they call it, the building blocks of life, the DNA helix. Inside everybody's DNA, the DNA does what we call coding. We call it coding. The DNA, they found that 3%, only 3% out of the 100% of your DNA codes for your speech, your sight, your hearing, and every other thing that you do that they see. Your ability to walk, to talk, to do every of your normal activities. They found that only 3% does all that job. So the other 97%, scientists, we didn't know what it was all about. So you know what we call them? We call the other 97% junk DNA. That was actually the name that we gave it, junk DNA. But in recent years, with the advancement of science, we've begun to see that what we call junk DNA are not really junk DNA. We find that there are certain things in the DNA, in those 97%, that turn on and turn off from generation to generation certain attributes. For instance, baldness. Something can turn on baldness in your grandfather's generation, turn it off for the next 2 generations, turn it on again after the 3rd generation. Stay with me. Then they find that suddenly some people can run long distance. Like, I'm sure you probably have wondered that East Africans in Olympics, they're always winning the 10,000 meter races, 5,000 meter races. They are usually East Africans. You wonder why. Over time, we found that the answer to these things is inside what we call junk DNA. The ability that you see, some people are just very brilliant. He just has a photographic memory. Anything he sees, it's wired inside what we call junk DNA. Science suddenly found out that some people are able to swim better, and this all wired inside what we call junk DNA. Some people's abilities to invent, they are just super brilliant. You wonder, you are in the same class with him, the same teacher is teaching you, but this person is just super brilliant. If he has to do with anything about fixing something, he's just very good at it naturally. We found that junk DNA turns these things on and off from generation to generation, from person to person. What am I saying? What we actually call junk DNA relates to the seed or the different seeds that God has put inside you. So you just find out that from childhood, you woke up, from when you were born, you just liked maths, or you were very good in maths. Your brain just picked maths. Or you were able to speak 2, 3, 4 languages more than everybody. The languages are just easy for you. Or you just find that anytime you run, you're always the fastest. Or you just find out that when it comes to business, money issues, from the age of 7, 8, you can calculate money, you know how much is going, or you are very good at managing, administering things. You just like to do it. Some people just find out that they're the best at puzzles. From 5, 6 years old, they just like puzzles as a child. They are wired into your DNA. That's why the Bible says, let not any man glory in himself. Why? He says, what do you have that was not given to you? You may be the most brilliant. The reason why you need to stay humble is because it was given to you by God. It was wired into your DNA for you to use it to do something on the earth. It is the harnessing of each of those seeds and being able to string them together that will lead you to dominion, which is the place, as a Christian, is the place of kingdom wealth, where your giftings, the world needs it. So, before I then step into the very specifics of the different seed in your life and try and begin to take the journey further from seed to fruitfulness. Remember, we haven't gotten to fruitfulness because the reason why most people fail is that most people just want to start at bearing fruit. I need to bear fruit. I need to bear fruit. If you don't understand your seed, you will fail the journey of bearing fruit. So pay attention. Why am I saying this? The corn has a seed. Let's start from seed. So let's start from what a seed looks like so you understand. How many people know how long it takes for the corn to mature from a seed? If you know, can you please just pop it in the chat? How long it takes a seed of corn to grow from the seed, from when you plant it till it becomes a
Yes, sir.
Sir, how long, sir?
It takes 3 months.
3 months. Correct.
Yeah, but we have some hybrids now. So
yes,
maybe two months. 2 to 3 months.
Some 2 to 3 months. Fantastic. Does anybody know how long it takes for the palm seed, the palm tree, the seed? Does anybody know how long it takes to grow to maturity?
Yes, sir. It's still for palm tree usually 2 to 3 years. 2 to 3 years. But we have some hybrids now, but because of this technology, I think maybe 18 months to 2 years.
Okay. All right. Okay. Let's take the natural ones that God put before the hybridization. Okay. Let's say the corn takes about 3 months. Okay. The corn takes about 3 months. The palm tree takes about 3 years. So just for, it doesn't really matter, but let's just take those two figures. Let's say one takes 3 months, another one takes 3 years. What am I trying to say? The first thing you need, imagine somebody planting a seed of corn and putting it in the ground, and then it grows after 3 months and is excited. And then he plants a seed of the palm tree. And then he comes to check it after 3 months. And as you will know, sir, the seed, the palm tree seed, will not even show up at the surface yet after 3 months. It doesn't even show up at all. So you think that seed is dead. You are wondering why? Because at that same time, the corn has grown to maturity. You're already eating the corn. But the seed of the palm tree, after 3 months, nothing has shown up yet. Why am I saying what I'm saying? The first thing, if you don't want to fail on arrival, is to determine what is the seed that I carry on my inside. What is the gestation period of the seed on my inside? The differences that God has given me, how long? Some people think it's about I want to start this today. I want to start the business today. I want to move today like this. Let's just start everything now. And so, Dr. Larry, this thing is taking too much time. I need you to get to where I start making the money. It's the same thing like you saying, this palm tree, after 3 months, if it's not producing tree, I will uproot it. It will never produce after 3 months. It will never produce. Why? The first question is, what seed do you carry? So the focus of today is identifying what seed do you carry on your inside and what are the characteristics of those seeds that you have on your inside. Is somebody still with me? That's the first thing that we need to deal with today. Because if you fail that, you will never get to fruitfulness. If you fail that, you won't get to fruitfulness. And if you don't get to fruitfulness, of course, the rest is history. Every seed that you see has a unique combination of temperature, water, air, and light that it needs. You see those 4 things. Every seed that will grow to become a fruit, every seed needs those 4 things. But it needs them in different proportions. Just stay with me and listen. Listen today. Those 4 things in different proportions. The water, the air, or the oxygen, or the temperature and the light. Let me give you an example. If you put the rice seed, I hope I'm right. If I remember well, the rice is planted in like waterlogged area. If you go and plant, the rice needs a lot of water, waterlogged area. So you put the seed of rice like deep inside water. But if you take the palm tree, you go and put it inside water and you expect it to grow, you're deceiving yourself. Some seeds, they require a lot of sunlight. Some require less. For instance, you take the apple tree, the apple seed, you go and plant it in a nice, lovely, big land, somewhere in Lagos or Sierra Leone or somewhere like that, and you think it would grow. You're deceiving yourself. That seed will not. Why will it not? Because the apple seed has been wired by God to require cold nights, less than 7 degrees. It must go through that cold, chilly nights. That's when it grows. That's the reason why you're not going to find an apple tree growing in Lagos. Very simple. So what am I trying to say? But if we don't know if the seed is an apple seed, we just plant any seed and we say, why is it not growing here now? Why is it not growing here? That's where the first problem, and this is very, very important for the next things we're going to do in identifying the seed and understanding the characteristics of the seed in your life. If you want to attain that dominion, I tell you, this methodology, this is what God has wired into man. He blessed them, saying, be fruitful. If you follow this method, the earth, the moon, the air, they must support you. They don't have a choice. It's an authority from God. Nobody can go against it. If you follow the boxes according to how God said it, no creature, no creation has the effrontery to defy what God has said. So you look at your life, the first thing is, what seed am I carrying? And what are the characteristics? Different seed require different amount of water and so on. In fact, there's something in seedlings. Let me tell you this one. It's called dormancy. If a seed, if you put it in a wrong soil, or maybe the seed requires cold nights or requires, and you give it the wrong, the wrong conditions. You know what the seed does? The seed actually enters itself. It goes into what is called dormancy. The seed is not dead. It still has the potential, but it goes into a self-preservatory mechanism where the seed doesn't grow, but doesn't die. It just stays there because the conditions are not right for it to grow. So the seed, while the seed may be a palm tree that can grow tall, big, huge, it remains a seed. It doesn't attain dominion. So the first question, I'm going to have you answer 3 questions. If you're there and if you're comfortable, I mean, it would help me to know that I'm communicating with people and that you're there and that I'm talking to you and that this is helping you as well. I'm going to ask you 3 different questions. Just think about this, and please, you can put your questions, you can put your answers in the chat if you're comfortable, or you can send it to me if you're comfortable privately. It would help us all think. What are 3 things that you know that you are naturally just good at? Think about it. You grew up and you just find out that you're good at this. It's just, for instance, here I am. I may be all these things that I've said, I've done something with, I'm a hydrologist, eco-hydrologist, this, that. But I am naturally good with anything that has to do with IT from when I was very young. From the days when it was Windows 93, Windows 3.1, in the early 1990, 1991, when people didn't know anything about computers, I would tear computers apart. I would open hardwares. I would unscrew, take component boards out. As a young man, I just loved it. I was just naturally good at it. So I'm just going to give you next 2 minutes. Good. Gloria, God bless you. Speaking, business, beautifying. You just find out that, you're good at beautifying people, bringing beauty out of things. Every other person says, I didn't see you could do it that way, but it's just what you've just done is just beautiful. It just naturally just flows for you. Is there anybody else? 3 things to start with that you just find you're naturally just good at. You are not struggling to do it. I'm not talking about Dr. I'm trying to start a business. That's not what I'm asking. What is it that you know that you are naturally good at? 3 things. Number 1, please. That's the first question. The second question, what is it? I'm waiting for you, please. I'm waiting for everybody because this is supposed to be a mentoring session. So I'm not preaching a sermon. So I'm waiting. Okay. Folakemi says writing. Okay. The next question. Let me give you the 3 questions very quickly. So I've given you the first one. What are the things you're naturally good at? Because these questions is going to lead us into the next thing. What are the things you're naturally good at? That's the first question. The second question is, what is it that even if you are not paid, you enjoy doing it? Even if nobody pays you for it, you enjoy doing it. I expect the first and second question to overlap. Even if they don't pay you, number 1, what am I good at? Number 2, that thing that even if they don't pay me, I just love to do it, even if nobody pays me. The third question: what are the things that you were good at as a child? But if they ask you today, you say, I used to be very good at this when I was a child, but I think since about 10 years old, I don't anymore. Technically, those are the gifts that have gone into dormancy. You'll see where we're going to. We need to look at this thing. So, number one, what are things you're good at? Number two, if they don't pay you for it, what are those things that you still love to do if they don't pay you for it? Number three, the things that you were good at when you were a child, but it just that has faded away. That has faded away. So I'm waiting for everyone. Let me see. I'm seeing quite a few things here. Yes, Oluwafolakemi, writing. You're just good at it. Bright, speaking, organizing things, analyzing things, analytical, fitness. Yes, fitness. You just, every other person is struggling to keep fit. But for you, you're wondering when they say, I don't know how to keep fit. In fact, I'm trying to lose it. But you're like, this is easy. What do you mean? It just flows for you. Someone else teaching, organizing things, arranging things. A lot of us here, I can see, speaking, teaching, arranging, organizing. These are giftings here. Wow. Can somebody just point me to something that, I'm just looking at this here, something that you know that, okay, I imagine these things are sharing knowledge, writing. These are things that even if they don't pay you for, you're happy to do them. Yes, Oluwafolakemi, I can see dancing. So is this dancing? Is this one of those? Can somebody point me to something that was that is now dormant? Something that they
Yes,
did when
number three. Question three is Oluwafolakemi said. Question three,
yeah.
dancing.
Question three, dancing. Oh, fantastic. I like the way it's answered. Yes, God bless you. Dancing. You see, that was something that you did very well. You loved as a child. But somehow, as you grew, it feels like you don't dance that much again. You know, it's interesting that you may think that dancing was just one of those things as a child that, you know, now it doesn't fit so much into this nowadays. King David danced his way to the throne. He danced his way to the heart of God. Sometimes a seed that you have, a seed like dancing, may just be that what that seed is there for is that is the seed that opens up your access into God's throne. That seed may just be the one that goes ahead of you, opens the way into the spiritual, where you can draw other things from God. But as you were growing up, the circumstances surrounding your life, they were not favorable. And that gifting, which you were good at, just went into dormancy. Stay with me. Yes, I can see speaking, operating YouTube. That is something to do with IT. Something that other people can't figure out, but you just can pick these things apart, okay? Encouraging others, hospitality, administration, okay? I can see researching, counseling, encouragement, good. Things that sports, basketball, running when you were younger. But now those things have gone into dormancy. Okay. We'll go into, I'll show you, wow, our time is, so now, these are things, let me tell you, these things you've written here, these things are natural things that you will, these are the things that you will naturally succeed in. And they can carry you to dominion with the most minimal stress and effort. I'm sure someone will look at it and be saying, but Pastor, I mean, in this age and time, dancing or, writing or, this speaking, there are many speakers around now. How does this carry me to dominion? Or encouraging others, how does that help me? Now, I'll show you one or two things. This is perhaps in my own evaluation, perhaps the most delicate stage, the stage that I call seed to fruit. You see, after you've begun to bear fruit, it's not like it gets easier and easier, but believe me, I feel seed to fruit is perhaps the most delicate stage. That stage where it's a seed in the ground till it bears the first fruit, seed to fruit. Now, this seed to fruit stage, I'm not going to kid you and I'm not going to play games with you. It's a numbers game. It's a numbers game. And I'm going to give you an assignment today ahead of the next class in 2 weeks' time. What do I mean by it's a numbers game? You have 24 hours in a day. Each of these things, and you don't have to stop here. You don't have to stop here because I'm very certain that you may go back and sit down and think on our conversation, and you come back with certain things that you, or some, maybe you've chosen not to even write them here, or the key thing, maybe you've chosen not to write them for whatever reason, but you have this thing that you know that this thing, this was natural to me. Growing up, I was the best at this thing. I was so good at this. I loved to do this thing so much that even if nobody paid me for this thing, to share knowledge, to teach, to grow people around me, to worship God, to sing and dance before God, things like that. And you're like, but how does this take me to dominion? The first thing you're going to do from here is sit down and retrospectively take your time. Book out minimum of 30 minutes. And that's why I say people that will attain dominion, this is not some quick fix, but if you follow the things I'm telling you tonight, you will attain dominion. I'm not telling you it's a 2 months journey, but believe me, it's well worth it. Before now, there was a time in my life when it didn't look like I was going to be close to anything like successful. It didn't look like I was going to be close to be anything like fulfilling purpose or destiny or dominion. It was like I was useless at some point. But God picked me up. Then I began this journey. The story is different today, but this is not all. This is not all. There's somewhere I'm going, and I'm still looking at that dominion in front. And I'm hoping you come along on the journey and we'll meet at the top. The first thing you do, that's why I said numbers game. If you're serious with your life, you're serious with achieving dominion, achieving kingdom wealth, the first step after today is tonight or today, wherever you are, what time it is, book a 30 minutes to 1 hour. Take a pen and a paper. Start with prayer and say, Father, open my eyes to see the gifts that are in me. The things that I've even forgotten, please remind me. The things that I love to do as a child, some that I may not even remember now, please remind me. The dormant seed in me. Then the seed that you have, the ones you remember, write them down. That's the first thing. Write them down. Now, after you write them down, this is the next thing you're going to do. You're going to commit time. Without committing time, you're just joking. The first thing you do is each of them pick 3 successful people. Go and search for 3 successful people in each of those areas where, and not just 3 random people, 3 people that when you look at them, your spirit resonates with where they are regarding that style. Let me give you an example. There are different speakers in this world. Some are life coaches. I'm talking about, for instance, people that are talking about speaking as a gift that they have. Some are life coaches. Some are teachers. For instance, I know I'm a teacher of God's word. I know it's my gifting. I will go into the scripture, the Lord will open my eyes. I would see something that nobody else sees, and I'm able to teach it and pass it across. So look at, is it someone that teaches that your spirit resonates and say, I like the way that person speaks. That's how I see myself. Does your spirit connect or resonate with that? That's the first thing. The second thing with that, so some people, for instance, it may be a teacher, it may be a preacher, or it may be a motivational speaker. You know, are you looking at a John Maxwell? Is that when you listen to John Maxwell speak, that you're like, yes, yes? Or is it someone that is a teacher of God's word? Is it someone like a Ravi Zachariah, someone that is an apologetic that brings up, like, yeah, I like that person. So your job is, each of these things, go and pick 3 people that you can see that their lives in that area of your life, they've attained dominion in the kingdom of God. I choose to use the word in the kingdom of God because we're talking about attaining the journey to kingdom wealth. Now, that's what we're talking about, kingdom. Unless you're gifting, you take what God has given to you and you use it to impact the body of Christ, the nations being transformed. You know, for instance, you look at someone like, Christian people like Miles Monroe, who was a motivational speaker and a preacher. Look at how he impacted the world with his speaking. For instance, pick 3 people that align, that you see, that achieve that dominion. 3 people in that area. For instance, someone in that space of speaking. Someone that says, for instance, mine is encouraging others, or, you know, administration. Go and look at people that led, Christians that you can see that led huge organizations that are impacting the world today. You may look at someone like, for instance, let me give you a very good example. Take a look at someone like Pastor, I'm trying to please, if someone remembers the AGO Pastor Johnson Odeshola, the AGO admin in the Redeemed Christian Church of God. Do you know what it means to be the head of admin of over 40,000 churches around the world in different nations? Pick somebody like him. Do you know how many PhDs, how many degrees that he has to lead, to administer? Pick somebody like that. Pick maybe 2 other people in the area of administration that have achieved that level. Christians that have become CEOs. And then that your spirit connects to, you like that. You know, the Bible says when your spirit connects with someone, you're like, yes. I hope you know that it's not everybody that your spirit connects to and relates to. Look at people that are at the top, and your spirit says, that is where I should be. Pick 3 of them in each of these areas. Pick 3 of them in each of these areas. Over the next 2 weeks, set apart. We're meeting in a fortnight. Set apart over this next 2 weeks, minimum of 5 hours to do this research. Minimum of 5 hours. You're good with IT. Look at a Christian that has, look at someone like that built the U Bible app. Go and look at the story. I think his name is can't remember now, but you can Google it. The founder of the U Version Bible. You know, you're someone that you feel IT tech skills is your. Go and Google his story. Search about him. Look for information. Read about his childhood. Understand where he started from, how he got there, how he impacted. Look at people that align with the vision, the things that you think that you want to become. The things that you are not struggling with. I'm not saying the business they told you to go into, because they say, hey, now cryptocurrency is now selling. You say, which crypto should I buy? No. Look at the giftings in your life. Look at people that had similar giftings that have attained dominion. Spend 5 hours over the next 2 weeks to study them. When you do that, come up with three key things. 3 key things that you see from their lives, minimum, that can enhance the development of this seed that is inside you. Pick 3 key things that can enhance the development of this seed that is inside you. I'll give you a very quick example. Myself, when I realized that the gift of teaching was upon my life, I studied a master's, I studied a PhD. While I was doing a PhD, God helped me. I struggled. I found opportunities to begin to lecture in the university in Australia. I began to lecture, and each time I'm lecturing, I'm looking at myself, talking to people, a class of 100 and something people, a class of, large crowd of students. I'm the only Black person. All of them are Caucasians. I'm teaching them, and I'm learning from them. It wasn't easy at the beginning, but I knew that if this gifting was upon my life, I had to find a way to begin to express it. So I found ways. So write down 3-4 ways from the history of these people, how they came up, what they did, what they went through, and write 3 key things that you need to do to take your seed, to enhance your seed now. We're not yet at fruit. You've not borne fruit. That we're not talking about fruit. And I know that some people may have gone ahead. Some people may already be bearing fruit. And I apologize if you're in this class and you're already past this stage and you're saying, Pastor Larry, I've gone past this stage. You're talking about, I'm already bearing fruit. Tell me how to get to dominion. I'm already at fruit. By God's grace, we'll get there in the next session. But this first session, for those that are still saying, what is my seed? How do I identify my seed? Do those things. Take 5 hours over this next 2 weeks this next 2 fortnights, because I will ask you about it, because that's where we're going to continue from. If you haven't done this thing, the next class will be like a theory. So it's important. Take 5 hours, search them, understand them, then write down 3 things that you can see that they did that you need to do that will enhance your seed. Then the next one, the last one that you will do is that over the same period, those dormant seed in your life, the ones that are question 3, go back and rethink and say, remember how seeds go dormant. If you try to plant a seed in the wrong soil, in the wrong environment, then the seed struggles, it goes into dormancy. It doesn't mean that seed is dead. You just need to take it out, look at what was the wrong thing about its environment and bring it into the right environment. So what do you do? Over this next 2 weeks, think about those dormant gifts in your life and say, how do I revive these giftings? It's important. It is very important. The reason is this, and I'll teach you in the next session. Many times, God uses 2, 3 seeds together. He links them together, and you would see at the top. For instance, I didn't know the impact of my IT with hydrology, with engineering until, but those dormant seeds, they are still useful, and you need to wake them up. Understand why they went dormant, and then come up with steps and say, I used to love to do this. I was very good at this. What can I do to revive this? Those are your 3 assignments over this next 2 weeks. It will lead us into the steps of fruitfulness and ultimately into dominion. This that I'm going to teach you, this is a biblical foolproof thing that the sun, the moon, the earth cannot break. Why? Because it's an authority and an ordinance from God. He blessed them saying, be fruitful. But until you bear that fruit from seed that is in you, you're not yet on your way to dominion. If you follow it, it will always work. It is not a 30-minute process. It may not be 6-month process, maybe few years, 5 years process, but you find yourself at the top. Next class or next session, I would show you some organizations, how some people have used the same principle to get to the top, and how you yourself can do that. Praise the Lord. All right. I'm going to pause here today. So is there any questions? Does anyone have any questions ahead of next session?
Yes, I have a question.
Yes, Robert.
So in a case whereby you feel like, I know you asked 3 questions, like, what do you, the 3 things that you feel like you're good at. So what if you feel like you're good at a lot of things, maybe some other things that I couldn't put in a list, like maybe there was no space for me to put it in.
Right.
And yeah, when I actually typed that, so I was, I think I was about to start driving, so I didn't. So those are the quick ones that actually came to my mind. So what if you feel like, you're a bit here, you're a bit here, your skill set are kind of interwoven, like no clear cut distinction. So what do you do then? How do you enhance gift like that?
It's good.
Because the one thing that I personally think to myself, I think these days I try to tell myself that it is better for a man, like a person, to be a master of a particular thing rather than you knowing a bit of everything. So, I think these are the kind of areas that I believe that I need understanding in.
Fantastic. I hear you. This is what I would say to you. As I said, the first question and the second question, they are very interwoven and there's power in it. I tell you why. If you find something that you are good at, this will help you filter.
Okay.
But you find that I'm very good at this thing, but I only enjoy it. I only do it, I'm very good at it, but I do it when they pay me. That tells you something about that. But when you find something that you are good at, that you love to do, when nobody pays you, that you would almost beg somebody to let you do it. For instance, I know a sister mentioned there, I believe was a sister that said she loves beautifying. You may find someone that loves to beautify people so much that as a child, maybe she used to beautify dolls and beautify things or whatever, and that she almost used to beg her friends that, please let me help you make up and let me help you do your face or let me help you beautify this. And she gets to the house and she just wants to beautify things. She comes to this place. You see, the fact that even when you are not paid, even when you are not paid to do something, you are joyful, you want to do it, something in you is driving you. It points to a wiring. Pastor Adeboye said something I'll leave with you today.
Okay.
He said, in your giftings, you will find your purpose. In your giftings, it's usually not, it may not be just one gift. It may be 2, 3 things interwoven together. So the key there is that those things that you're naturally good at, you love to do them, even not as a job, even when you're not paid for it. Find, if there are 3, 4, find and come up with how to develop each of them. Guess what? As you develop each of them, you will find the intersection. Because of time was why I could not take my time to explain the intersection, for instance, of my IT giftings to my teaching giftings to my lecturing and other areas of my life, how 3, 4 things were woven together. I will touch on that next week. So my point is, if you think you are good at 3, 4 things, or 3, 4, 5 things that you know that each of those 5 things, you would rather not sleep, that if they ask you to do it, you are happy to do it for free at any time. All of them may be crucial to your destiny. And you know that I'm talking about you're good at this. I'm not talking about things that, I'm okay, I'm average. Everybody points it out that you are more than average at this thing. And one very good way to find out is you may sometimes think that you are the best at 10, 20 things, but if you ask 2 or 3 of your friends, you see where I'm coming from, you have 2 or 3 of your friends, and you say, I'm good at this. Can you rate me over 10 in these things, my friend? Each one of them. Would you give me a 10 over 10? Or would you give me a 5 over 10? Those things, because we don't always see ourselves the way we see ourselves. You see where I'm coming from? We don't always see ourselves the way, but when you ask someone that knows you, a brother, a sister, maybe your younger brother, your younger sister, your older brother, someone that knows you, and say, please, these 5, 6 key areas, can you please highlight, give me a mark over 10? It helps you know where you stand in those places. If you find the ones that stand out, try 2, 3 people. By the time you see a convergence, everybody feels that you're the best in 3 areas, then you may need further clarification and check, am I really as good as I thought in these other areas? Are they natural talents to me, or I just thought I was, things like that. And then you take it from there, you narrow it forward from there. I hope that helps you.
Yeah, that helps. Thank you very much.
Okay. All right. Okay. Okay, I can see a question about suggesting links. Thank you, Miles. I think that question has been answered. So if there's a particular area, particular book or something that you need, there's a Christian Bible Club that if you're interested, any book you're looking for, you can put your phone number down, or you can send it in a personal chat, and we can get you added to a Bible Club, and you can request for any book, a book that you want in an area that you want to specifically develop in. Let's say you're talking about speaking, or you're talking about this, or you're talking about that. But this is your assignment over the next 2 weeks. Look at the people that are there and look at their journey. Pick out things that they did, and then see how you're going to introduce those things, because you need to get your seed to fruit first. Once you've identified that these are your seed, praise the Lord. All right, I think that's 7:30. So we're going to wrap it up here for now, in the absence of any other question. So I'll just I'll pray, and then I guess I'll see you in a fortnight. I'll send you a reminder for this, and if you have any questions, please, you can send me an email. You have my email address, and then we'll take it from there. God bless you. Let's pray. Father, in the name of Jesus, we thank you for this meeting. We thank you for your truth. We thank you for your word that cannot be shaken. Father, I pray that in the lives of everyone that has listened tonight, the grace to dig deep, identify their seeds, and make a conscious decision to work on that seed, that which you have deposited. It says, a man's gift maketh room for him and bringeth him before great men. Father, I pray that these ones would take that step towards discovery of these seeds in them and the steps to take to bear fruit out of them. Thank you, Heavenly Father. Blessed be your holy name. In Jesus' precious name, we pray. Amen. God bless you, everyone. I'll see you in a fortnight.
Nice, sir.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir. God bless you, sir.
God bless you.